Hello world, this is Matthew Stidham. Today what we are going to do is we're going to learn how to use Linux. This is a full tutorial to get you up and started using Linux. So what we're going to do, you download, we're going to use VirtualBox. So virtualbox.org is the website you need to go to. So if you're on Windows or Mac, virtualbox.org, you download VirtualBox 6.0. Get the host that you need, follow the instructions. It's really straightforward. So if you're Windows, you click on that. And then it says open with, you'll install that on your machine, and there you go. Once you've done that, your VirtualBox is going to look like this. Something like that. I have 3 machines I've already started. As you can see, a Windows, a Debian, and an Arch, which I've been playing with. And I run Ubuntu, so Linux is kind of a thing. But you don't have it yet. You've installed it. And so now what we need is we need to download your ISO. So we're going to use Ubuntu today because it has a bunch of features that don't exist in other distros, but it still includes your basic Linux command line, which is what we're going to study today. So if you press download and you press 18.04 LTS, you will be brought to thank you for downloading Ubuntu Desktop. It will pop up and say, you're going to save the file, and there you go. And once that's done, I already have it downloaded on my machine, and then you wait for that. So pause the video, wait for that to download, and then continue. Okay, so you've downloaded your ISO. Go back to your VirtualBox. Open it up and press New in the top left corner. We're going to say Ubuntu, and it automatically says it's Linux and 64 bits. That is excellent. Press Next. I have a good computer, 32 megabytes. We might give it, 1 gigabyte, 1024 megabytes is enough. But let's bring that up a little bit. And so, because the more RAM you give your machine, the faster it's going to run. Let's give it 4 gigabytes, which is 4096. Press Next. And you can do a different amount if you want. Create a virtual hard disk. Now, I don't have an Ubuntu hard disk already, so that is fine, and press Create. Say VirtualBox disk image, that's fine. Dynamically allocated, that is a yes. And let's make 10 gigabytes, that'll be sufficient. Boom, there you go. That's all you gotta do. Then you press Start. Please select the virtual optical disk file. So we're gonna press that icon on the right. Now it went right to my ISO files. I have all of these installed on my computer already. But go to where you download your file, probably your downloads folder, and install that. Press Enter. Make sure you have the right ISO file, and press Start. Your Ubuntu is running. I'm going to maximize this puppy. If you go to View and you say Scaled Mode, switch. That's going to fill your screen. At least it should. There you go. Ubuntu is starting in our VirtualBox right now. You should have the same thing on your computer. It brings this load screen, and it's going through some instructions here. Just wait a little bit. Your computer might be faster or slower. If I get ahead of you, go ahead and pause. If you're ahead of me, skip. There you go. It is running. So it's going to pop up with this install, and we're going to say install Ubuntu onto our VirtualBox. Now this does not, we're using a VirtualBox because it does not change the OS on your computer. Nothing about your computer right now is going to change except you'll have this running inside of your machine. So assuming you're English United States, I'm American, so that's by default. Say continue. Use whatever it gives you. Normal installation, we do want third-party software. That is a good idea. Normal installation, yes. That is good for us. Continue. Wait a little bit. It's loading and thinking about it. And then it's going to just erase disk and install Ubuntu. Do that decision. It only affects your personal disk. It does not affect your host OS. That's a really important reason to use VirtualBox. Makes it really safe. I'm on the West Coast, so Los Angeles is fine. Just press continue. Type in your name. So I'm going to say stidmat dash VirtualBox. Type in the password. Decide what you want to call your password. Require my password to log in. Sure. Doesn't matter. Secret password. I've never used that one before. And now it installs. Choose your own password, your own username or something. And there you go. It is installing. I have an SSD in my computer, so it's really fast. But this makes it really straightforward and easy to do. This is real time. I'm not going to speed this up. This is exactly how long it takes on my computer. Yours could be faster or slower. Depends if you have an SSD. Depends how much RAM you have. Depends how much you gave your machine. All of those factors change how fast this is going to take for you. But for me, this is how fast it's taking. And I'm going to just wait. Blah. It's a little boring at the beginning, but it gets really, really good really soon. Now, there are many Linux distributions. As you saw, I also have an Arch distribution and Debian. Ubuntu is based on Debian, and say either way, doesn't matter. And so it uses the apt-get repository, which we are going to look at. And there are other, like there was configuring apt on the screen. And there are other things Debian has that Ubuntu also uses. And then there are other things Ubuntu builds on. So there are shortcuts I'm going to be using in this tutorial that might not exist in another distribution. But Ubuntu is what I'm most comfortable with, and it gets you prepared in such a way that works quite well. Let's see, what else? Do I have anything to read? Let me think. What should we do while we're waiting? Oh, I know. Oh yeah. It already selects that. So in my terminal here, I'm splitting a Wikipedia file for my job. Control Shift. Let's just do a new terminal. Well, I'll teach you a little Python. Python! See? There you go. I have Python 3.7 installed. Oh no. I need my good keyboard because my laptop keyboard is broken and I need to fix it at some point. Alright, you go in there. There you go. But here's the other. So Python 3.7, you have to put the parentheses and quotes in there. Let me see. Import. I don't know. ls. There's nothing bad in here. My computer's just completely okay. cd. Alright, let's open our Jupyter notebook here. This is a project. I've made a few videos on this already, but I was doing some work in it today. USA CSA. So, oh yeah, I was having some issues. Lightning-Python, that's what it's called. It's the module for my notebook. There we go. VirtualBox is not finished yet. I'm just playing with this. If you want to skip ahead a few minutes, you see when I go back to this, you can do that. But this is a project I've had some fun with for a little while. Shift Enter. Jupyter Notebook's beautiful. So what I do with this is I love traveling, and Amtrak and rail travel is, in my opinion, the best. Please no Sheldon Cooper jokes. And so there we go. Here is our notebook. Wow, last checkpoint was a year ago on my birthday. That's cool. Huh. Neat. Yeah, I just had my birthday. So basically what I have is I have a spreadsheet of all the cities in North America. And yeah. Oh yeah, and that's all United States. Yeah, this is all United States. Why is that up there? That's weird. There's something wrong with that city. So here I... still waiting. Did that, and I was like, okay. So I used the DPS Scanner in Python, and what this does is it says, take a radius around a point, and cluster. It's a clustering algorithm. So it says, well, let's just do this. So these are every city in the United States for my database. And it clustered them by distance. As long as they're 190 kilometers or less from another, it will be part of a cluster with all other cities where that is true for the cluster. And we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, Hawaii. 7. Right there. That's kind of cool. A few were left out, but this is also really small. And here's 3 clusters, and it's now that's boring. Well, let's make it more interesting. So let's say we need 500,000 to make it work. Now we're talking. There's Seattle, there's Spokane, there's Portland. My little town of Bellingham's no longer showing up. If you zoom in, let's see. That's Bellingham, that's Port Angeles, Seattle, Aberdeen. Olympia's not on there because it's part of the greater Seattle metropolitan area nowadays, one of the combined statistical area. And yeah, so still waiting. Maybe another 30 seconds. And then I said, well, okay. And this shows us very quickly where we can easily have profitable high-speed rail in the United States. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it will tell us 10 clusters in the US. Arizona, California, the Midwest, the Northeast, the South. And 190 kilometers is like an hour and a half on a high-speed train. That would be going about 150 kilometers per hour, which is where it should be going. It would be less than an hour and a half for every trip on these. If we go up to 4, then all of these from the United States is less than 2 hours from another city of over 50,000 people by train. So that's kind of cool. Alright, back to Ubuntu. We're done here. So, installation is complete. You need to restart the computer now in order to use new installations. You click Restart Now. So then, it's going to do that. And then it's going to say, please remove the installation medium and then press Enter. So what you're going to do with that is you go... Let's see, how do we do it in here? Okay. So we're just gonna... There should be a menu. Okay, let me remember how to do this. Or we can just shut it down as well. Power off the machine, okay. Then you go Settings on your Ubuntu. And we're going to go Storage, Remove. Oh, the ID was automatically removed. Perfect. Okie dokie. Start. Yes, switch. If you press your host, which is your right control, it does that. So Ubuntu is running, and it will boot shortly. There we go. Now it's running. So you're booting up your brand new virtual disk now. It's been installed. This is the loading screen for Ubuntu. This is only 4 gigs of RAM, but fortunately it's on an SSD on my computer, so that speeds it up. Alright, Stidman. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to just type in my little password there. And it's going to load. Alright. Here we go. We're in business now. What's new in Ubuntu? So this gives you a screen. You can go through this if you so choose. And you press next. We don't care about this. Is just a VirtualBox. This is up to you. I choose this since it's some information. Ready to go, and you already have all this up, all of these programs done. Yeah. Alright, so press Ctrl-Alt-T. Stidmat, that's stidmat-VirtualBox. Cool. And this brings you first path. Alright. So if you type ls, that's the first thing you can do. It will tell you what's in your home directory, and when Ubuntu comes out of the box, this is what you start with. You start with all of these folders. So if you press ls documents, yeah, sure, it will show you nothing's in your documents. Same will be for anyone. But so, to start the tutorial on this works, we're going to cover programs. So, ls lists the folders lists the files in the folder, and then ls, and you type the name of a folder in the one you're in, says ls documents. So that's cool. cd is change directory. Press just a slash and press enter. This is to the root of your computer. This is the folder where everything is stored. This is the highest point of your hierarchy. Press ls, enter. These are all of the folders which are in your computer to start with. This is what you start with from the get-go. You have home is where we work. So if you press tree, so press sudo apt install tree. So we're going to start with this. Sudo is super user. So it's like that's using as root, but you're not logging in as root. We'll get to that later. Apt and snap are two different ways of installing programs. They're repositories, and all of the and there are tons of programs stored in those. So, but you call to the repository and say, I want to install this name. Press enter, type in your password. Why is that? Oh, that's because we have our updater. We're going to install now. That's only 250 megabytes. That's not bad. Type in your password. It's just basic maintenance. And once that is done, we can go do things. We'll install that later, but first let's just look and learn about how the this works. So let's go one by one. ls bin gives you a whole bunch of programs in here. cat, cp, ln, ls. These are the programs that you use in your command line. You could use any one of these. This lists everything currently installed in your system. This is all installed out of the box. So what does... Oh, Nano is a good one. Nano is an editor that helps you learn how to write programs. So we want to say... First we want Control X. Oh yeah. Say cd tilde. So what that does, it brings you your personal home directory. And I was like, what should I show you first? Ugh, no. Still installing, okay. And then you go cd documents. So what I did is I typed cd doc and pressed tab. And that automatically filled it out because I was in my home directory. If there's a folder, if there are multiple, it will fill in as much as it can, and then you fill in with the next character and press tab again. It really speeds up typing. So, Nano. This is Nano. it is useful because you can easily write programs in it. You can write text folders, text files, write literal computer programs, and view the text of just about anything you want. Control X. Oops, I pressed Control Z accidentally. So, and what you can do is use FG to return to Nano. FG. Our work was not lost. Control X. You want to save your modified buffer. Press Y. I'm going to call it whatisnano.txt. Cool. Alright. And now, what we can do then is we can read. Let me remember how to do that. Fortunately, we have all of our programs right now. So you press echo whatisnano.txt. That tells you the name of it again. Not terribly useful. But what really is helpful is you can print it on the screen. Let me remember. Oh, touch. That's one we're going to cover. You see, being able to just read all the files you have is a really useful program. Here's another one you can use. Emacs is really popular. So, sudo. Oh, we need to wait for our installations to be done. So we'll do something else. We have to wait for our updates. And, oh, echo whatisnano.txt prints you the name. I already did that. It's like all the stuff I want to show you next is requiring me to have the updates done. This is a real... I'm not speeding this up. This is literally how long it takes on my machine with the amount that it showed me. Let's just look through another folder. So that's what bin does. Bin has all your programs. If you go into your home, that tells you there's one user, which I called stdmat, and that is the home directory of my user, which is where we were started. That's where all my personal files are stored. Root is where root items are stored. ls boot has programs in there. So memtest86, that's useful. A bunch of other things that it comes with out of the box. lsetc comes with all of the programs you also have. So that's where all their files are stored. So etc is a valuable one. Sudoers. Nano etc/sudoers. Permission denied. Sudo nano etc/sudoers. This tells you who exactly is able to use your programs. Defaults tells you where your files are stored. User privilege specification. Root has all, as it should. Members of the group admin may gain root privileges and allow members of the group sudo to execute any command. And that's where it starts. So that's a useful thing to know about. And that tells you, and if you change that, then you could potentially screw your computer up. So use with caution. Everything in this folder use with caution. But there is another one. Then we go, there's another, where are the users stored? We're not going to look at the password, passwd, because I would share my password. I don't use it anymore. Sudo nano. There's nothing in there. That tells you the passwords for all of these various users. And that's kind of important. It tells you where they're stored. So I think that's what it's. No, it's not. These are users, and information about them. Okay, we're going to restart later because we don't need that for this tutorial. Alright. So, now we can really get started. What other programs? So I've taught you, let's just write down a list of the, actually no, we're a VLC, that's useful. Yeah, VLC are started on Linux. Most Windows users use that as well. So we're going to go cd, Control-Shift-T opens new tab, cd boom / documents, Nano. Okay, so we've covered ls, list files in directory. This is a review. cd, change directory. When you've used Linux for a bit, that's something that will come naturally to you. Sudo, super user privileges. And then, what else did we cover? Which prints name of file. Nano, edit file. What else do we have? Okay, so we're gonna say Control X, yes, commands .txt, boop for ls. So now what we can do is you can press mv. Now let's mkdir, mkdir, make directory, test folder. Don't use spaces, that screws things up, makes things less. So we just, what did that do? So we press ls again. See that blue? So blue is a folder. So we can then cd into that. And there's nothing in there because I just made it. Alright. And back to there. So I changed directory back in the folder I just made. Let's copy commands.txt, and then you press tab, and then you also tell it where to copy to. So we're going to say test folder, and then commands2.txt, ls. Alright, ls test folder has the commands to that we copied. So let's go into nano commands.txt. Folder operations. cp, copy, mv, move. mkdir, make directory. Control X, Y, enter. Okay, and now what we can do, we want to remove. So test folder is really not that helpful, but actually there's one thing I want to do. So type tree, it's going to give you this. So do what it tells you to do. Sudo apt install tree. It doesn't matter if you use apt or snap, they're both perfectly fine. I don't use this password anywhere else, so if you figured it out, good for you. You haven't. Okay. Then we just installed a new program onto our Linux machine. Press tree in documents. This shows you the structure of what's in your folder. This is extremely useful when we're working on projects for fairly obvious reasons. Let's make another directory in test folder, test2, and then press tree again. It will show you that there are there's a test2 folder in your test folder. Then you want to say nano test folder test2 testing.txt. So what I'm doing here, if you just type nano, it just opens it. But I'm telling it now where I want to put the text I'm going to write. So I want to put in the test folder in the test2 and the test, and call it testing.txt. Press enter. This is a test for an example for the next lesson. Control X, Y, and look, it has the same name that I gave it. Boopity boop. And you press, I like saying boopity boop, it's kind of fun. Press tree again, and we can see testing.txt is in the testing folder. We can also say tree, I want to just see the tree for test folder. There you go. In the root of where it is. So that dot that you see, the dot is from where you are. Well, let's see you say tree ... Well, that shows you from one folder above the folder home directory / documents. This shows you everything under my home directory currently in this folder. This is why I created a VirtualBox. I don't want to show you all my files. It's private. That's another thing about Linux. The security is really good. So there you go. You have all of this information right there. So we press ls again. We say nano commands. Tree. Display a tree of the folder you specify. That sounds good. X, Y, enter. But now, here's the thing. The commands2.txt, I don't need that anymore. And the test2 folder is really not that important. So what if I want to remove a folder? Well, let's first remove a file. That's okay. Now here's a warning. If you RM, it does not go into your trash. That is important to realize. RM, and we want to say test folder, test2, testing. Enter. Tree. Enter. It's no longer in test2. That is because we deleted it. cd /ls, but I think tree. Whee! Control Z. That's not what I want to do. We want to do only 2 levels of our tree because we're not going to go crazy. So this gives you the 2 levels of your tree from your folders. And this shows you everything under the sun, under your computer. Basically everything under the sun. If you look through there, it's a lot of information. I don't expect someone new to Linux to know this all from the get-go, and that's why we're not going to read through all of it, because that would not be beneficial. You will get to that later. Okay, but now, why do I have this test2 folder? Well, I just said rm documents test folder test2. rm cannot remove test2 is a directory. That's why we're going to do rm-r. rm-r is recursive, and this lets you remove a folder. And that's really important to remember, because that's different. I did the mistake on purpose to show you the error code. I knew this already. Documents test2 test folder test2. No error code, let's press tree. That shows us all the levels. There you go. See, test2 is gone. It was there, but we removed it. So there you go. If you go trash, it is empty. That's something to remember. Control W, close this window. If you remove it using RM, it does not go into your trash. That's an important thing to know. So that's something to add to our list. Nano doc commands. Oh. I typed that in wrong. So then we say file operations. First thing, RM. Remove file. rm-r. Remove directory. Yeah, that's the cat. So there you go. X, Y, enter. I like saying that. It's very mechanical. He likes to get patted on the butt. I hope that doesn't get censored. You never know nowadays. So what else? So let's say we want to change the permissions of a folder. What is Nano? 777. So what that does is it says we want everyone to be able to read and write what is Nano. I'm busy working. I'll play with you later. Don't worry, I love you still. And so he likes to get pet but right now is not the best time. But like you said, change mod 555. Unwritable. Okay. So what that means is that we can no longer change what is in what is nano.txt. We have to now be... I made it so 555 says you have to be a super user to change. So sudo nano blah. Now you can write it again. So the green that you see means it's a 555, which means that only super users can use it. So we're going to add that to the list. Nano documents, commands, enter. File operations. Chmod. Change user permissions. Now what if we said 555 documents what is nano? For some, it didn't work because we need to sudo. We also need to do the permission. Let's see if we want to make it writable by all users again. Didn't change. Showing you exactly how this works. It is 7 makes it executable. 666 does not. So now we can say nano documents. What is nano? And we can write to it again. So 555 makes it executable and makes it into a file. So there you go. And so we're going to add that to the list. Nano documents commands. Oh, we did that. Actually, yes. So I press Control X and exit. Up arrow brings you back to the last folder, last command. Then you press Enter to do it. So then we're going to say chmod 777 executable 666 all users can read and write 555 admin only. Cool. What next? Let's say you want to write a Python program. Just type Python. You know, here's where it can be installed with. So if you want to do Python 3 is already installed. Press exit. Sudo apt install Python. You can have both Python 2 and Python 3 running on one Linux system. This is very helpful. So now we are installing that. And that's really all you have to do. And this is the latest version of Python 2.7. So Python opens Python 2.7 by default. You can change that if you want to. Python 3 opens Python 3 by default. But let's say you want to install, let's go back to Python 3, import pandas as PD. That's a problem. So if you want to install pandas, you go pip install pandas. You do what it tells you to do. I knew that would happen, but I like to show people error codes. It's very useful. Nope. Yes, we want to install pandas. I love Python's naming nomenclature. And this usage analyzer. This is kind of helpful. Oh, for some reason it's not doing it right. Alt tab. But on my, I've already used over half my disk, so usually we'll have more space than this. But Linux will run. Linux will run on very little space. And there you go. And that's how you do it. So, and then when we do that, and that's finished, we will be okay. So the folders that you really need to know, you need to know your home directory. That's where all your folders are stored. Root is like home, but for the root, if you were to plug in a USB, it would probably be put under media. No, it would be put under media. So here's my USB here. This is my bootable disk. I'm going to plug that into my... it's fine. Plug that in there. And it says it's Ubuntu. CD boot. This is back on my host machine. It's still Linux. CD media. LS. So it's under my user. And there you go. So in there it says we have extra drive 1 and we have the name that I gave to my USB, which is the operating system it is. Ubuntu 18.04.1 LTS AMD 64. And so that's a good place to start. But then what we can also do, if we go in here, we go USB, we can say we want to add PNY Technologies Use. That's the name of my USB that I have. Press OK. Go back to your VirtualBox. It depends what it's called. Other locations. Okay, let me remember how to do this. I don't do this very often, but when I do, I think I already have it set up on my Arch. Okay, so in order to get this to work, we need to shut down our Ubuntu. Exit. Page down. Okay, so let's just import pandas as PD. Oh, that was for... That should work. You know, let's shut this box down because we have a bunch of updates. So if you just type shut down, it will... Oh, there's my timestamp, so you know exactly why I made this. That says a shutdown in 1 minute. And so that's how that goes. And so that tells you basically everything you need to know how to get started on Linux. If you followed through all of those, you know the basic commands to get started. Everything else is that you would do on Windows is pretty straightforward. There are videos on how to use Steam Play, so you can play all of your favorite games through Steam. And besides that, if you are emotionally invested in Microsoft Office, you can always run a Windows VirtualBox in there. Don't tell them I said that, but you can. And they'll want you to pay for Microsoft, and technically you're supposed to, and you should. I've had licenses. I think I still do. Don't know. Point being, I'm digging myself in a hole. And they're shut down. So now what we want to do, one last thing with your VirtualBox. Go to USB, enable USB controller, USB 2.0 controller, and you say USB device filters, and you press OK. So now you've restarted your machine. It should see the USB I plugged in. Failed to attach device, USB MS error failure? That's bizarre. So we're going to shut this down, power off the machine, figure out why. I think it's because it's USB 3. Yeah, I think that's why it didn't work. Enter. Enter. Oh shoot. Of course the USB I plugged in is a bootable disk. Because that's what my USB is. Okay. That brings us back Oh, for some reason, brought us to the boot screen. That was interesting. That was actually very interesting. I'm okay with it. I have no problem with that. Huh. I'm not used to it doing that. And there you go. Now you've plugged in USB and you've told your computer to give it access. You can then view it in your VirtualBox. So this is very useful if you want to, let's say, transfer files for some reason from your host machine to your VirtualBox. You can just stick it on a USB drive and read it on there. So that makes it really simple and straightforward. So, yeah. That's a bunch of tricks for one day. Keep using your VirtualBox. If you want, you can always just install it straight on your own home computer. But if you're running a Windows machine, I find dual booting can be problematic. Windows likes to think it's the only one OS in existence. They're changing now because there are so many programs. Oh, there's one other thing I want to show you. Control-Alt-T, LS. Okay, so let's say we want to download a file from the internet. So, of course, there are ways you can do that. But let's install Anaconda on my machine. Anaconda.org, because that's a really good way to start programming. Python, data science, all that stuff. Jupyter Notebooks are the boss. They're the best. Download Anaconda. You can also write bash scripts and run them on your computer. So download your version that you prefer. So we can do that, but we're not going to. If you press download, it will say pop up. But that's not the way we're going to do it. We're going to do it through a terminal. Copy link location. We're doing it this way for education. So press wget, Control-Shift-V. Paste that, enter. It is now downloading that folder onto your Control-X. I'm going to put it in my downloads. Okay, now it's downloading Anaconda onto my machine, and it's going to take up a bit of space, but I have enough. It's not terribly huge. And now it's going to take about 5 minutes to do that. So we're just going to probably cut the middle of this video, and maybe we will. What else is there? Here's one thing Windows cannot do. Watch Star Wars in Linux terminal? What's that? That sounds awesome. Let's see. Yeah. No, it won't be HD Blu-ray edition. Instead, it will be ASCII. Go away. We don't like you, ads. Telnet TowerUpLincolnLights.nl. Control-Shift-T. Control-Shift-V. Yes, this is the thing. You're watching ASCII Star Wars in your terminal. So that's another thing, yeah. And it is real Star Wars. It takes a little bit of a snore. That's no word for 20th century text. Blah, 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 blah. It's a gimmick, but it's a fun gimmick. Star Wars. And so you can watch it on your own. So now have it on your computer and you know how to do it. I was trying to cancel, but that was not working. Close terminal. So I just closed out tab because we don't need to do that. That's just me showing you wget. Okay, we need to add that into our cd .. So .. goes up a directory, and then you can go down from there. That was my fault. ls cd commands. No, Nano commands. So then we wanted to actually, let's call it network operations. wget, download folder from the interwebs. Okay. The other thing you should know how to do, pip. So pip basically says So pip I dash T. I think it was dash T. I want to say how many times I want to. There's a way to say, you know, that's a Google server. Not pip. No. My brain is not working. Not pip. It's late at night. This is the last command for today. Ping dash C5. I'm pipping Google 5 times. 8.8.8.8 is a Google. To this saying, yes, that IP address is online, and I don't know, I confuse pip and ping. It's me being silly. But so ping is another useful tool. It's a way of making sure that servers are there. ping-c5w.google.com. Ping Google 5 times. That also shows you Google's IP address. So, Nano, commands.txt, ping, get URL and see if website is alive. And Google is indeed alive. It is, well, not alive. It is indeed active. So there you go. And it tells you how fast your internet is. It tells you a whole bunch of good stuff. Hey, we're almost done. I can show you how to do this. What else should I show you today? Okay, I was writing a list here. This says structured file system. That's something you'll learn later. If you want, we covered all that. Touch, not terribly. You won't likely use that too much. Ooh. Grep. Ping. And so what grep is doing is a command I don't use very often, but it basically searches for something in all of your files and tells you where they are. So we're just waiting for that a little bit. That's still downloading. I'm sorry. Basically, that tells you that. Ooh. Tar. Do I file? Tar test folder. Tar is a useful function which lets you save a folder as a as a file. So that's quite useful. And so we want to save it as a bzip, which is a very good way of saving your folders. Blah. Let me remember. I don't really use this terribly often, but it is a good thing to learn. So you're learning it with me. It's just not something I've used much, but tar-c-bzip2. No, it's not. That's something to look up. I've never really needed to do that. tarz. Cowardly? And so there you go. So that's how you do it. tar-zzvf, that tells you, it tells us up there. Z is gunzip. C, that tells us how to compress it. C tells us, okay, I think we're all done with our Anaconda. Cool. And so basically, that's something to learn as well. File operations, tar, compress folder for storage. I usually do it through the folder, but this is supposed to be all through command line. So now we press ls or downloads. Oh look, we have a .sh. So you press bash, shift A, tab, enter. And this is installing the program. And that's literally all you do. So to install Anaconda, you just need to do that. I've done this so many times. And that's how you run a bash script. And then we say bash, run a bash script. And that gives you pretty much all the tools you need to get started on Linux. The last thing I'm going to do, so what this bash script does is it's installing a whole bunch of programs that are useful for data science. And once you have installed it, we're going to open Jupyter Notebook. And at that point, that'll be the end of the tutorial. But it's, so all the commands we have covered today show you all of the files that you're going to, the basic commands you're going to need day to day if you're going to run a Linux server, a personal computer, doesn't matter. List files in directory, change directory. Sudo. Now, this is for Debian based. Now, sudo is pretty universal. Oh, app-get. Repository which stores files. The other one was snap. And they're fine. They're, you know, and if you're using, actually, let's just go into that. Now, if you go into Arch, I've been playing with this and learning how to use it. View, scaled mode, switch. I like the scaled mode the best. So this is Arch. And so I'm going to show you a different variation. Type in my password. Type in my email. Oh yeah, if you haven't seen Homestar Runner, you should. It's kind of funny. It's fun stuff. So, Arch, I just started to, if I press Ctrl-Alt-T in Arch, it comes with barely anything, and I haven't been added too much to this yet. But as you see, this is a GNOME interface, which I installed on my folder here. Terminal. And I just kept with the default because that's fun. su root. Okay. And then you go, what's it called? I'm just learning Arch right now. And they have a different repository. Just Firefox. I installed Firefox earlier today because their default browser bugs me. I'm gonna feel dumb when I find the name. Whereas I've used apt-get for years, I've used this one for like a week and the name escapes me at the moment. Pac-Man, that's right. Pac-Man-S Conquest. Conquest is a game that I enjoy. And that's how you do. So Pac-Man-S installs a program on SU Matthew. Tab doesn't work in Arch either. I haven't built that in yet. So you can also start programs from your command line. So which is better, Pac-Man or apt-get? Neither. They both do the job. It's fine either way. But the point is, guess what does not have something like Pac-Man or Arch? The answer to that is Windows. Low disk space, no kidding. Ignore that. I knew that. And then, ooh, did we cover copy? We did cover copy. Good. Yeah, that was one of the first things. Oh. No space left on device. But, you know, if it worked, you would have Anaconda running, but I didn't give it enough space. And this video is long enough, so good night, and that's a good place to end. Make sure you give your device enough space, but this was just for this tutorial, so I really did not care. But, there you go. And shut down. Good night, world. Oh yeah, and Arch is the same command to shut down. Control C. And shutdown is a built-in Linux command for all Linux-based operating systems. And that's it. And in a minute, both Arch and Ubuntu will shut down. And that's the end of the video. Night night.